Alright, so we've got some diesel in the skid steer, so we aren't gonna run out of that here anytime in the near future. We're back down here, kind of at the lower end of where we were working on getting cleared out. This is where we started down here. So I think what we're gonna have happen is we're gonna have fence coming in from 3 different directions into one point. It's gonna be a little bit challenging, and it may not work, but I think we may end up having the one fence coming down from here, from where we cleared out. It'll come to right about where I'm standing, and then back here, you can't quite see it, it's been cleared out. My dad cleared this little alleyway through here. I think what we're going to do next is we're going to clear a little bit further back this direction. We'll have one line coming down from here, and then we'll have another line going back this direction, and then this is going to meet up with the cattle water that's down near the spring field, the hay field down there in front of the mill house. Now this one back here is going to be really interesting to try getting this cleared, because this is, I'm not sure how well you can tell it, but this is on a pretty good slope through here. So I may end up having to actually start near the top of the hill and then working my way down. I don't know that I want to be going sideways across here, just because of how much slope there is. And if you start trying to rip stuff out and you're lifting your arms up, that gets your center of gravity up, and that's a good way to flip the skid steer. So this may be a little bit of a project trying to get this one cleared out. But I think next we're going to start working on heading up this direction towards the middle woods, knocking some of this stuff back a little bit more, because I think this is about where the fence line is going to come through from this direction. So I think this is opened up now to where I think that's about where the fence is going to come up through here. And then once it gets up to where I'm standing right here, it's going to make a turn, and then it'll be going parallel to the middle woods. Now a lot of this is already cleared up through here. Some of it was already kind of clear. Some of it, you can see some brush piled over there. My dad cleared out last year, I think. The thing that still needs doing is at the far end over there, closer to the property line, that hasn't really been cleared out yet to where we can get in and put fence in. So we're going to head over that direction and see what we can do there. Alright, well this actually wasn't as bad as I recalled it being through this section. We're going to bring the fence, I think, right through that gap, right over, well, where we're standing, and then this is the property line fence right over here. Now, you may be able to see, I don't know, it's pretty hard telling what you guys can actually see on this little screen here, but the property line fence is not exactly in great shape. It's kind of, well, not kind of, it's very much cobbled together all the way through this section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try coming up through here and clearing along the property line fence. And then probably what I'm going to end up doing, because of course replacing property line fences is, well, it's not nearly as easy as doing interior fencing when it's just your fence that you're dealing with. So I have no idea when this may or may not get around to being worked on. So probably what I'm going to do is, so that I can get pigs in here this year, is probably just run some T-post up along through here and put in some kind of temporary electric fence to keep them in. But of course, if I'm going to do that, I got to have all of this junk through here cleared out of the way. So we're going to see if we can't do that, get this cleared out a little bit, and then I forget what it's like up on the top there on this end, but we'll hopefully find out here in a little bit. Well, I thought I was going to be able to come all the way up through here with the skid steer, but it got way too steep, both going up the hill as well as side to side, and it's really rough up through there too. There's a lot of rock, like kind of, I don't know, maybe softball size rock up through there. It's just big enough that it makes it really hard to get up through there. It'll start to spin on top of some of these rocks and stuff. So I got the stuff out of there that I had to do with the skid steer, the bigger stuff, and I think what I'm probably going to end up doing is coming up through with the chainsaw. There was one tree that's down across the fence line that I need to get cut up and get that moved out of the way. And then there's just a bunch of small stuff that's, you know, like maybe 4 to 6 inches or so that I can just move by hand, and that's what I'm going to have to do, because I don't want to try getting the skid steer in there, and I'll probably end up throwing the track real bad, and then I'll be in a bind. So as you saw, I came up around here to the top, and this is our top corner, and you can see how it's all cleared out through here. This is the old woods line here. All of this stuff over here, all of that mess has grown up in the last 50 years. So 50 years ago, 60 years ago, this was all cleared out through here. This is all pasture, and then this was the woods line. So this has been re-cleared out through here. I wasn't sure if this was already all the way to the fence or not, but so this was good to go. I just had to clear a little bit out right down in this corner, around in here, and at this point, we're pretty close to being able to start putting some fence in here. We're gonna head back up along through here. So this is along the top of the middle woods. There's a couple little things I might want to try ripping out with the skid steer while we got it up here, but for the most part, it's pretty well finished up. Alright, so our last step in clearing for the fence line here around the middle woods is we need to take out a couple trees right here. This one right over here, that one is totally dead, so we want to get that out of here. It's right along our fence line, so now is definitely the best time to get this thing out. Once we get the fence in, that would be really hard to get in there to try dropping that thing without putting it on the fence as well. And then actually the one right beside it as well, it's starting to die off too. Got a little bit of turkey tail starting to grow on the one side there. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and drop that one as well. Again, it's right beside the fence line here, so now is as good a time as any to get it out. And for that one over there that's still somewhat alive, we actually might be able to get some usable wood out of that one since it's still somewhat living, maybe. We'll see once we get it down on the ground. All right, one down, one to go. I counted the rings on that one. It was about maybe 65, 70. It starts getting a little rotten towards the outside, so I'm probably missing a few rings towards the outer edge of the trunk. It's actually a pretty decent sized log, and actually it may still be usable in the middle. It looks like there may be some wind shake, which is basically like little splits in the middle of the log. I don't know if you can quite see them coming out through here. So some of this in the middle may not be usable, but I think we might be able to get a little bit out of this one if we try milling it up. So this one's proving to be a little bit more of a challenge. It's got a bit of a back lean on it, and I'm trying to get it to drop in the same direction as I did the other one. I think it'll be easier that way, but it's taken a little bit more doing. I've only got 2 wedges. Sometimes I'll bring up a splitting wedge as well, because they get a lot thicker. It's not really what you're supposed to use it for, getting them to lean, but when you need it to go a little bit further, sometimes that works. But I didn't bring those up this time, so I'm trying to double up some little pieces of wood on top of the felling wedges to try and get a little bit more spread on it to get it to fall over, but no luck so far. I did just go back and check the time lapse though, and I could see that it was moving just a little bit in there, so I'm slow but sure gaining on it, but we got a little bit more to go yet. Long enough. Alrighty, now to get these things limbed and drug out of here. All right, well, I decided to go ahead and just take the branches and limbs and stuff and take those up. It's a whole lot closer taking it up to the top than bringing it down here. And we've got a old burn pile up there as well, so any bits that I don't want can just go on there and be burnt up there a little bit easier. Hopefully I'll be able to use some of that for firewood, because some of that stuff is like 8-10 inches across, so there'd be some good firewood in that, but at least it's out of the way for now, and I can figure out what I want to do with it later. So that went pretty quick, so we're just going to go ahead and work on getting these 2 guys down closer towards the mill house. All right, so the final thing that we're gonna work on here for getting cleared out for fence around the middle woods is coming back over to this side where we weren't able to get in with the skid steer and manually go through, move some of these limbs and stuff out of the way. We got one tree somewhere right up around in there that we need to take the chainsaw to and cut a little section out of that, and then move the stuff off the fence, get that out of the way, and then we should be completely cleared all the way around here for getting fenced up. Alrighty, well that is gonna do it for clearing along fence lines and clearing out for new fence lines and all that kind of good stuff for the middle woods, for here where the pigs are gonna go. I guess next step is just gonna be start driving some posts in and getting fence put up. But that'll be for next time. So that's gonna be it for today. As always, I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you next time.